Sweat Equity Podcast and streaming show, pragmatic entrepreneurial advice with 100% more dick jokes. I'm your host, Law Smith, sitting to my right, your left on the dial, on your tube, Mr. Eric Redinger.
Wow, 2 in a row.
Yeah, man, feeling it. Feeling good. Here's a little fun fact. Did you know you can ask all your Alexa, your Siri, Google Home to stop tracking you for all your ads?
What?
No.
What?
There's your fun fact. Added value right up front. That's how we're doing the show from now on.
They do it more if you ask them?
They'll just say, oh, okay.
We're already doing the most we can.
Yeah.
No.
You know how they're listening and then the thing you talked about shows up? Sometimes it's reticular activation theory. Sometimes it's just that simple that we are giving it to them. We're volunteering our data away. This episode is brought to you by Grasshopper. Try grasshopper.com/sweat. Gets you $75 off your annual plan. It's a scalable business phone line. You got a Google Voice. It annoys me because even when you ring it up, I know it's free, but if you have a real business, Google Voice doesn't want you to have that either.
Yeah, your real business should be able to afford something extra.
If it goes to your personal cell phone right now and you go, hello, who dis? That's not good either. That's the first entry point for a lot of people, customers. You need Grasshopper. Try grasshopper.com/swipe. Get you $75 off an annual plan. That's a lot of dip.
As big a pizza pie as you were going to say, I thought.
That's some shekels. Warby Parker, our next sponsor, feature sponsor. Eyeglasses, sunglass wear. You can get them prescription. Don't get ripped off by Big Eye. WarbyParkerTrial.com/sweat. Gets you 5 free pairs to try on. And our other feature sponsor, ExpressVPN. Try ExpressVPN.com/sweat. Like Key Sweat, gets you 3 months free off that anonymized virtual private network where you can cruise on but you can choose the country you want to do it from.
Choose where you cruise, baby.
It's like the Onion router, the Tor router, but you can choose the country you want to do it from. Interesting. And if you like this podcast and don't need those sponsors, you can contribute by subscribing, rate, review on Apple iTunes podcast app, Apple Podcast app, iTunes, if you still got that. Spotify, Laughable,
I think it exists.
YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo. I'm thinking for the people that don't update the old stuff. Yeah. We're big on LinkedIn. We're LinkedIn whores. Hit us up there. And if you want to Venmo us directly, hit us up, Eric Redinger. No one's going to be able to do it. Eric-Readinger. And then I'm LawSmith34 on Venmo. We're going to do it thirsty Instagram girl style.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Hashtag GirthyRI, hashtag 69B2B, hashtag Sweat Equity. Let's get this party started with a hot toddy.
Sweat equity.
Here comes Nick Hoff,
Sweat equity.
comedian to the stars.
My sweat equity. My sweat equity. What about my sweat equity?
Hoff, give the plugs where people find you. We know, you won an award for your podcast, the Hoffcast, already.
Many awards.
You won a potty already, so yeah.
I won a potty. My kid takes it every night, straight to bed.
A potty on the potty, dude.
Yeah. Oh, we're still in potty training. Okay. Plugs. Yes, nickhoff.com. That's where you can find everything. You can find my album, tour poster, my podcast called the Hoffcast, which apparently is one a potty.
Oh, you didn't even know? I
didn't know, because this whole COVID thing, everything's going crazy. I wasn't able to attend the ceremony, and so I'm pretty sure Rogan just accepted on my behalf. I think he
really,
stood up there and said,
out of Texas, yeah, that makes sense.
Right out of Texas, yeah.
Eric, Nick, Eric. I don't know if you'll,
is that for real? Are you for real? Rogan accepted your award for you? Are you for real?
He's like, Nick couldn't make it. He's very busy, but I was able to make time to go to Birmingham, Alabama to accept this.
I apologize. I get some guests foisted that I'm not entirely familiar with, so I have to.
Sure. No. Sorry about that. Yes.
I told you about Nick though.
A little bit.
he may run those atmospheres.
I know. That's why I
last
was
time
like,
I saw
could
him,
that be real?
Last time I saw him, he was opening for Larry the Cable Guy out of the Tampa Bay area. So,
Exactly.
who knows who you're hobnobbing with these days?
Yeah.
I know. Well, it's not Rogan. Apparently, he moved to Austin and closed down the comedy club.
The one y'all have in LA.
The one in Austin. No, the
no.
City Comedy Club closed.
I heard, but rumor has it he's probably just going to throw money at that.
That's what I would do if I were him. I'd be like, that's the one place within a stone's throw where I can get up every night. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and plunk down a couple bucks.
And I think he saves $13 million by going from California to Texas just by the tax break.
He'll build his own club.
From that $100 million of Spotify. So, yeah, there's also a rumor he'll build another club, too.
Why? Yeah,
Did
why
he
not?
Did he move just before the Spotify check cleared?
It seemed that way.
I love it.
It seemed very calculated. And I listened to pretty much every episode the last couple of years, so it's one of those things where if you kind of listen with your ear to like, he's been kind of talking about this for a little bit.
Oh, you saw it all along, huh?
No, but I mean, like,
Called it.
No, I'm no soothsayer, but I'm saying like it's one of those things where you look back and you're like, yeah, he's kind of been talking shit about California for a while, and then that deal happened, and someone reported that it was like $13 million to save, just straight up from the tax part.
Just to pack your shit up faster.
Yeah.
Right, especially now that California's talking about. I don't know how interesting this is, but
the luxury
California's
tax?
talking about taxing people so that even if they move, they still get it.
Yeah, good fucking luck on that one. Yeah,
Exactly. The guys that are making the laws are the dudes that are making that money. So
Yeah, they ain't moving.
or it's not their money. It's just like here. Let's not lower the corporate tax rate to get maybe manufacturers of cars back. They're all in the South now. They used to be all in California.
Right.
And now every state's got like Mercedes, like all these states that you're like, wait, South Carolina has Audi and shit like that, and you're like, they're all being manufactured over there because they moved over from the West Coast, and they're just like, fuck it. And that what is it they call it? It's like a luxury tax is baseball. It's might be luxury tax.
Still
luxury
applies.
tax is monopoly.
Applies.
Yeah, that is monopoly.
No, baseball is a
That's
luxury tax.
$75.
That's a whammy spot. I'm trying to think. At any rate, like the way they try to do it, it's like almost unprecedented. Like what'll happen is it'll have such a negative effect of people just moving there to begin with. It's like such a
You
short.
think it'll prevent people from coming?
Yeah, it's a short-term money thing, right? Because if you're making money doing your own thing in another state, and you're like, "Well, I should move to Silicon Valley," you're like, "Fuck that noise!" Like, it's
Right.
like 10 years, you'd see that decrease. I think.
Yeah, everything's going digital anyways.
Look, when I moved out of California,
these borders don't matter as much.
I moved out of
anymore.
California. They had a law that you have to, and I did it too. You have to submit 5 days after you technically leave the state. This is 10 years ago. And if you don't, the DMV sends you all like the registration shit that you owe and then penalties on top of that. And I was like, that's the worst because I was like, now I'm Florida and I fucking did this. I actually did the stupid thing that I heard about and I shouldn't have a fine. You guys should owe me money and my time spent.
Right.
I just had to deal with it fucking again because they didn't update the computers.
Dude, California screwed me when I first moved out here. My dad was like, well, you should register your car in Nebraska, way cheaper. And so I kept doing that. I kept re-registering in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And then finally, when the guy was like, hey, you've been here for too long. You got to get California plates or whatever. I was like, all right. And he goes, how long's the car been here? And the dude was cool with me, like a young dude sitting there at the DMV. He was like, oh, here, this is the form you need. Yeah, it's really easy. Just do this. How long's the car been here? It doesn't really matter. And I was like, oh, I've been here since 2005. And then he gave me the bill, and he had back charged me for 3 years.
He's a cool guy.
It was like $900. I was like, $900?
Yeah.
Take it up with Nebraska, buddy.
Right. They're
Yeah,
like,
I paid
it
Nebraska
on the
and
backside.
California for those years.
oh, and you have nothing. You can't do anything. You can't. It's not like you can go like fight it. They'll just be like, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
You'll
I
miss.
did say, can I have that form back? I think I made a mistake. He's like,
What
no.
I say? 2000 what?
What's it called? So you're not on the. I talked to you on the phone yesterday. I was like, we've been meaning to have you on. I keep forgetting to reach out. So you're you haven't been up on stage since March. Are you going
March 7th.
Are you going nuts?
Yes. And luckily, I told myself when everything was canceled, right? When March Madness was canceled, and I said to myself, I go, okay. And then my gig on the 13th of March was canceled that same week.
You're doing dates like an alcoholic. Like,
yes,
stop drinking.
I should get a coin.
1994.
I should get a coin. Like, I haven't been on stage in a year. I'm Nick. I said to myself then, and everybody was like, oh, yeah, it'll be a month or two. And I said, I'm not getting back on stage this year. It's not going to happen. And I think had I not made that agreement with myself in my head, I'd be going super crazy right now. Because I am going crazy. Like, I'm getting really itchy and feel like I'm just stagnant and going nowhere. But I had come to terms with that back in March. But had I thought, okay, 6 weeks, we'll be back. Oh, okay, 8 weeks, we'll be back. Okay, how about 12 weeks, had I done that game, then I would be just full-blown, just off the walls here. So
once you made that agreement, did you have any plan in place to take up your time? Did you say, I'm going to learn how to do this or anything? Or
yeah, how did you pivot? And I'm kind of curious on how everybody's kind of pivoting to figure out what to do in the meantime, kind of thing.
Yeah, some guys right away said, okay, now I'm going all Zoom. I have a couple buddies that do like 3 or 4 corporate Zoom shows a week, and they're like, I'm not really seeing a drop off in my income. I was like, well, that's a cool way to do it. But
was it Patrick Keane?
Awesome.
Was it Patrick Keane?
He was Colin Moulton. Do you know Colin?
I think through you actually, but
Colin,
Patrick was
on
the
super
show
motivated
2 months ago. I didn't know he did all this corporate stuff. So,
well, I mean, he's fairly clean, and I love Patrick. He's really funny. But yeah, Colin built his little studio in his garage, and he just does them all out of his house. He's like, now I have almost no overhead. I don't travel. I just make calls every day. I've set up the system to get these shows. I didn't do that. I didn't like the idea of Zoom shows. I always considered myself more of a performer than just a stand there joke writer. I'm not like a one-liner guy or anything.
Yeah, your material stinks, but you sell it well.
Material's garbage, but I can act it out like crazy. And so I right away signed up for a writing class. I was like, okay, let me get some scripts pounded out, work on these shows that I've been meaning to develop for the last couple of years. So I kind of went that way. I kind of turned and said, okay, 2/3 of my income's cut off. I still have a third that will float us, and that'll be fine. And now I can because I always looked at show business, and probably all business is this way, but I always looked at show business kind of like a checkerboard, and there are all these pieces. You got to move your acting piece forward. You got to move your writing piece forward. You got to move your stand-up piece forward. And you never know which one's going to hit your podcast piece forward until eventually one of them gets kinged, and then you're like, boom, 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 and it helps all the other pieces. Nice. So I've always, and the last few years I've just been focused on stand-up. I was like, oh, it's time to move some of those, get that left corner piece out of there. It's just doing nothing.
Move your back row.
I'm so glad you used checkers and not chess as the analogy.
No, I'm not smart enough to use the chess reference.
It's diversifying. It's hedging a bit. It's like, well, and it's kind of what you have to do when you're in your position as you're a professional entertainer, it's that thing of and that's why I think it's interesting to have comics on, because they're all entrepreneurial, whether they want to use that word or not, because none of them think of themselves as businessmen or women, but you really have to make your own shit happen. Yeah. And that's really what doing your own business is anyway.
And those writing classes, that's reinvesting in yourself.
It's continuing education.
It's that's not just I learned how to, whittle wood. Something stupid. That's once it's done, it's well, I'll never do that again. You're using that going forward, and that's going to help you everywhere too. The writing class.
Right. That is on the resume now. Yeah, I took that class. Yeah. That's it. Nothing else.
Oh, good.
Next time I submit for something, it's right there with
it. Get that PDF certificate thing. You put that on there, attach it in the email.
Were you able to do any acting gigs before the pandemic kind of started? Because you were doing, at one point, you were in 3 national commercials playing one year, all football season. I'm like, I know that dude. I know him.
There he is.
Oh, cool.
There's that face again.
It's Miller Lite commercial. Who gives a shit? I was like, good, duh, but you don't think that's cool?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't able to do any like in January, February before everything hit, and then everything closed down. It's starting to reopen a little bit. I've had a few auditions that are just me in my house recording myself. That's how they audition people now.
God.
That's more brutal than listening to your own stand-up, I think.
It's so horrible to sit there because not only like you go into an audition room and there's a guy with a camera and he tells you, okay, here's what you do. You go in there, you do it, you walk out, you go, well, I'm stupid, and you leave and you're like repeating the lines to yourself. But then
maybe you get
2 minutes later, it's over.
Maybe you get a laugh out of that guy who's dead on the inside because he's seen every fucking neurotic, anxious person in LA come through. Yeah.
Yeah, but and you also have to leave too. They got other people coming at your house. You're like, did I nail it? I'm just gonna do one more. I'll just do 11 more.
But
okay.
Not only do you have to do that, but then you have to put it into your computer from your camera. Then you got to put it into the right format to upload it. And you're looking at yourself. You're like, this is stupid. I hate. Like, why did I move my arm that way? Like, you have no control over any of that when you go into a room.
Which one do I look the best? Which one? Okay, that one was a little bit funnier. Really? Are you telling yourself that? What a dork! Like, it's just over. It's like, oh my god, it's the worst.
Eric and I did an audition in the room with each other in the room. And that was the fucking worst because I can't read.
I can't read.
I can't read out loud. I did auditions in LA. I had friends that would get me in them, and I'm like, they'd put it on like Pictionary, like big. They'd write out whatever. Cards. Yeah, and I'd be like, oh fuck, because I can't read out loud very well at all. I think this is part of the reason I got into kind of doing stand-up is just like, I'll make up with it for talking a lot. And
nobody knows what the real words are.
Yeah, I don't need to spell this shit in the future. And so, what's it called? Like, I was like, can Eric kind of leave the room? It's like, no.
I'm going to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to watch, because you watched mine I went first.
I know, I was trying to pick off anything I could rip off.
Yeah, thanks.
It's always worse with people because they're the ones that judge you and know you, so they're just like, look at this idiot.
Yeah, you got to see him again.
Yeah, and his was good.
We drove together.
And his was good, and mine was like...
His audition was good?
His was good. I've seen auditions and shit before. You know how it goes with like commercial shit.
Got the word read in his last name.
Boom.
Right.
Wow, you did your research.
You can get those cue cards.
But it's definitely like, what's it called? It's definitely that thing. You forget you have to like overact in commercials and stuff. You have to over-emote and all that. Mm-hmm. And I kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm glad he went first because he's going to do it that way. But like you're trying to improvise while reading. And I was like, my brain just like,
right.
It was fun.
Yeah. So none of that. So podcasts and stuff, like what the writing class is interesting that you filled your time correctly because, man, that can go the other way very easily. It can go like, well, now I just sleep a lot more, or like
and invest in some weed.
Yeah, or no, Nick's a goody good. He doesn't do anything.
I'm saying he could have.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I could have gone. Well, that's the reason I've never smoked weed is because I have an addictive personality. I know if I opened up the floodgates, that's all I do all day, every day.
That's how I feel about hookers. I think once you pop that Pringles can, you can't stop.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Got a limiting factor there, buddy.
No,
in terms of you're going real cheap, huh?
No, I know.
I'm talking about the money.
I know a lot of friends that.
I'm like, actually not.
A lot of buddies that you
get some kind of subscription monthly deal.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Hey, write that down.
That's your material, man.
No,
Eric's starting to get into stand-up. What advice do you have for him?
Oh yeah,
starting to get into it right when everything shuts down.
Yep,
it's perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect time.
Everybody goes back to zero. It's like Fight Club. So
it is a little bit like that. You see, there's going to be opportunities that come out of this that, people are going to, I thought about that because every time I'd go out to I can link this into advice to you. I would just be there all the time. If that's what you really want to do, if you want to do stand-up, just be at a comedy club all the time. Let them see you. That's, when I was starting out, I'd go to the Comedy Store, but I'd only go like every other week, and that really wasn't enough. Like I'd be doing other shows, other places, but as far as the Comedy Store concerned, I was just this twice-a-month guy, and I wish I had put more time into it, just being there, soaking it in, making the kind of connections, the friends that also keep you accountable. Like, where have you been? Why haven't? Because it's easy to quit stand-up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's easy to
no
quit
one's
stand-up.
no one's telling you to stay in ever.
Right.
No.
You should keep doing
I
this.
mean, the biggest name, Seinfeld, tomorrow could be like, I'm thinking of quitting, and people be like, oh,
Yeah.
really?
Well.
Interesting.
Can
Nobody's
I
gonna
get
be
a
like,
spot or
You gave it your all, you know.
you'd be calling Gotham the next night, like, hey, Seinfeld's done. Can I come up? Can I do it?
But
get the
yeah,
Seinfeld spot?
I remember us going to. We would go do a shitty open mic and then just go hang out in the back of a room of a good show, a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was like, in the if you're trying to do your own like hustle in a business way, it's top of mind marketing. It's reminding people you're around. I got a lot of shows just by showing up in the beginning, like when I was like 21, 22, showing up at open mics consistently, and then they'd see you do one good set, and then you just keep showing up, and
They knew you had a
later
car.
on they'll be like, I have this other show, that is actually a show, not an open mic. You should do. I'll put you on that one. You're like, okay, and you just start
Yep.
doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, networking in a business sense, it's the same way. A lot of it's just being around and showing up, and people know that you're there in a lot of respects.
Yeah, well, you and I both know people that's what they've based their careers around, just being good at the business side of it, the networking side.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily funny comedians. They're just there.
They're salespeople. Yeah.
They're salespeople, and they're really good at that, and they've built careers out of this.
Yeah, they're hunters. They're better on the production side. They're better at the networking side. They're better at sending the random texts or phone calls to a lot of people they met.
Yeah,
They're salesmen, hunters, not farmers. But there's a balance. They'll get to a spot where you're like, well, they're just not very fucking good on stage at some point. A lot of them that are like that. way.
Right, but maybe
ceiling
they'll
then.
find that other checker piece. Like, the
Yeah,
perfect
yeah,
example
yeah.
I can think of, and I don't even think he'd be offended hearing that, like Judd Apatow. Like, from all accounts, he
Judd
was just
listens.
he was just a middling.
Sorry, Judd.
Judd, don't worry. I'm still castable. I'll record myself. I'll do it 27 times. Send you the
You
best
just made
one.
the list, buddy.
No, I wasn't around to see him do stand-up in the 80s and 90s, but from all accounts, he was like, good.
Yeah.
Not great. Good. But he found like his lane to excel in, and he was able to do it that side. Like, he was very good at that side of it. And now it's helped him. He's done a Tonight Show set. He's had specials now, on stand-up.
Yeah. And he found like, okay, well, this kind of gave him the checker piece to get to the other thing too. You can leverage what you've learned. I mean, his story, he used to go in comedy clubs at like 11 and interview people.
Right.
Because his mom
Years
was
old?
Yeah, because his mom was a comedy
right.
club waitress or
Yeah,
something
he was
like that.
always hanging out there, huh?
So like he had that passion in that world from the get-go, but I always find it interesting to know when he had to like cut bait and go, I'm probably better behind the scenes with Sandler, in front of it or something.
Well, it's
like that.
interesting. People will be like, "Oh, he only got that latest Netflix special because he directed all those movies," and it's like,
Fuck yeah, he did. That helps.
No, I know, but I'm saying like, there's also Netflix comedians on there that are not as funny as Judd Apatow that got it for whatever other reason. Where it's like, oh, well, they really hit this demo.
I can tell you they're
and
probably
that's
not
why
a white
they're gonna get
male.
right? Yeah, but
And
you know what I'm saying.
the irony of stand-up is like the white male is like
Easy.
what?
Easy.
I don't give a
I don't
shit.
know.
This-
I know you don't.
What?
But with this haircut, people attach me to shit.
Oh yeah, you look like Edward Norton in American History X.
Hey,
We'll go get you a
Don't rope
stool
me
so you
in.
can
Just don't
fucking
rope me
backwards
in.
dunk. in the
say you're
Venice
racist,
Courts.
whatever you're about to say.
That's the worst part of that movie is the backwards dunk on the Venice Courts in American History X. Do you remember that?
I only saw that movie one time. I actually own that movie, but I've only watched it one time just because it's so disturbing. I can't take the curb moment, so
Yeah.
I don't. I've never seen
I
it since
disagree. I think the dunk's the most disturbing part.
The dunk. Well, what did he do? Ed Norton dunked?
He does like
He
a
dunked,
two-handed
period.
like ram jam.
End of that's enough.
Yeah.
Ed Norton dunked. That's insanity.
I want to say it's a reverse dunk, like NBA Jam or run and gun.
I don't remember.
I wonder how high the hoop actually was for that tape.
That's what I'm saying. They get a
Doubt it
little
was even
footstool,
him.
and he's like, "All right, I got this." And I think he's wearing jeans too. I want to say.
Oh, of course.
Wearing jeans,
Jeans
got the
and
Nazi
combat
tattoo,
boots.
just
Yeah.
does a backwards dunk on an 8-foot hoop.
This means not welcome.
Look
to
Look
my
how badass
courts.
he is.
Yeah, in the Venice Courts, nonetheless, too. Like the
Right.
worst, shittiest. Like when we used to go play out there. It's like there's sand on the fucking
Yeah.
court, and there's crazy people walking through all the games.
Hell yeah.
There's a guy.
Just out there with the broomstick to lower it down to the same level that they had to for Woody Harrelson and White Men Can't Jump. Just there he goes.
Actually, I heard Woody can ball, but I don't know if he can dunk.
You can tell he can play a little bit, but dunking seems a little
I don't know.
out.
I want to say
doubt.
that's legit, but I don't remember. Billy, the Stookie Brothers. But the, what's it called? Oh, fuck. Now I lost my train of thought. We're talking movies.
I don't remember either.
You were giving advice as an old Sage seasoned veteran.
When I'm doing a reverse dunk
to Eric,
something about that.
Yeah, a lot of it's that. A lot of it's showing up. A lot of it's being in the back of the room. Being around it helps too.
Who was it? Was it Woody Allen that said like 90% of success is just showing up? I mean, that's how he got his wife, right? She was just at his house.
Wow.
She took his advice.
What a zing, dude.
Take that. Just put Judd and Woody right up against a wall.
Take that, Woody.
Do you improv that? You've never said that before? That's pretty good.
I've never said that before. Does that work?
Pretty good.
Hold on.
Especially in our podcast where that was like right over both.
He was
genres.
handing out fatherly advice, see,
Yeah.
and she listened and she took it, and then now she's in,
I mean,
shepherd seat.
Sure. But what Hoff and I have a similarity where I think anxiety drives you in a way. How have you been able to kind of deal with being anxious about not getting up and all that stuff? Have you found any kind of different, like I've been trying to fill the time wisely in a similar way, but because it's really easy to fucking just be like, oh, this fucking sucks, fucking pandemic and all this shit. But I know when we were on the road and stuff, doing the tours and whatnot that we did, it was like our anxiety manifests in a different way, but I think it gives you that pressure to like, all right, I gotta fucking focus on this set, even though it's last second. We're both last second people. That's for sure.
Yes. Because
you did your taxes both times, like the 14th of April, and your wife was in the car. I think both times, or the van.
That's when I did the taxes this time, July 15th. Yes, I used all the time.
You know, you can get an extension every year to like October if you're doing the business.
I did
ones.
one time, and then they charge you a fee. They're like, the juice was running that whole time. I don't know if you know that.
For business taxes, no. For business taxes, you got till October.
What?
Yeah.
Don't tell me this.
Yeah.
I will use till October.
I'll give you
You just ruined me.
I'll give you my CPA, Michael Messina. CPA of the stars. Yeah.
My goodness, I'll be in prison next time you guys interview me. Like, what happened, Hoff? I don't know. Lost out ahead till October.
Well, to be fair, I say his biggest thing is he's not Jewish, so I got an Italian doing my fucking taxes. So.
Dude,
Whoa,
I
really?
am a last-minute guy, and the only reason that works is because that last minute finally comes.
Yeah.
And the problem with this pandemic is that last minute isn't here.
Right.
There are no deadlines. There's nothing. So I've been trying to develop like a system that works, and I haven't found it yet. So if you guys have it, I mean, this is my latest system, is a little list book where I try and highlight the things that, okay, I'm going to do these things today. But this is such a small notebook. Like this, who knows where that goes at some point.
Okay.
And then it's just, I go down a YouTube wormhole. We watched
Your wife,
the Social
Sarah?
Dilemma. Have you seen that?
No,
Yeah.
I'm afraid to.
No, I've heard,
Netflix.
I'm afraid to be like, oh, everything sucks and we're the worst.
yeah, I've heard about it. In the same, I'm kind of avoiding it because I don't want to be like I'm a fucking sucker.
Yeah.
And
I don't
all
wanna
the
be like-
psychology they're playing against us.
Everything I suspected is true.
It
Fantastic.
makes you feel like a dirtbag
Exactly.
almost
Okay.
instantly and doesn't relent for 90 minutes. And you're like, they're right. Everything they're saying is right. And the phone is the cigarette of our generation. And even though we know it's bad and it's doing all these things, we're still just smoking them. I know it's got a hold of me. Like, that's what's going to happen, especially if it's brain tumors years from now. They're like, wait, why are you still using a phone, Grandpa? I need it.
Neuralink.
What I
I
Yeah.
just like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Neuralink. We can put a Neuralink in, and then it'll heal everything. We won't get brain tumors.
Yeah, the
or anything.
Elon Musk Neuralink, and he's just kind
That
of
shit is
bubble our heads up.
crazy. Say
And,
any sort of brain problem, you're fine with that.
So can I give a piece of advice? Maybe get a legal pad. Let's start there. The like bigger ones, the
So you
yellow
think
ones.
a bigger thing?
Something heavier to
Instead of a
throw.
little-
This is why we make the big bucks, doing this show.
Well, the latest thing that I wanted to try was to get some sort of like alarm that dings every 12 minutes or something, like a snooze alarm that's like,
Sensible.
get back.
Dude, I started
on.
I've done that where I will just set my alarm for 15 minutes at a time and on my watch, and then it goes off, and I'm like, all right, am I doing something? Did I do something that 15 minutes, or do I need to? And it's like, because when you have nothing to do, the time just kind of, it loses value. So if I know that 15 minutes just passed, I'm like, okay, well, shit, I got to reevaluate every 15 minutes, and it's. You could do it as low as 5 minutes, really, if you want to get on your ass. But
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a way. I don't know if you're not that way already. I don't know if that's the way to do it.
this is a recent problem for me.
Are you?
So,
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Getting up, doing the routine. You got kids. You have 3 kids. I don't know how you're doing that, and they're all pretty young. And so you've got routines there. You just have to implement them. I think. And I'm talking to you to tell myself as well. It's one of those things where your stuff comes after theirs, but really you have to kind of get up before them, get your shit done, like get a to-do list
your
going
life
before
is
they wake up.
Based around their framework
Right.
of what time they go to school or whatever it is that they have to do.
Yeah. Get a little loving in with the wife before they wake up, all those kind of things on your to-do list.
Before they wake
Yeah,
up.
right. Well, we can cross that off the list.
Shots closed.
no need to go down that.
You're just a eunuch forever now? Yeah.
Especially in the morning. There's just we've never been morning people.
It's hard to drink in the morning.
Yeah, that's
First
true.
thing.
I mean,
That's not hard.
I did learn about Midwestern drinking from going on tour and meeting, a lot of the family members around that you're friends with and whatnot. They're like, oh yeah, when it's in the winter, we just go in a basement and drink like all night. And you're like, what? And it's like,
Can't
oh,
go
cool.
outside.
In Indiana,
You got a better plan, buddy?
in Indiana, the sun goes down at 3:45. So guess what? You're gonna just be down there. I remember watching Bill Hicks at your wife. For those that don't know, your wife's parents' place. Watching Bill Hicks and drinking like a handle of whiskey down there, and then you running barefoot on a treadmill. Because Brendan bet that you couldn't run a mile barefoot in like 10 minutes or something like that.
That mile almost killed me. That mile almost was the end of me because I was trying to prove a point, but I think I was pretty sauced and I was not in the best shape because we had already been on tour for 2 months, just eating trash. Like Subway was our healthy meal.
Yeah.
That was where like, just cold cut meats. That's our top shelf right there.
If we zoom out, are you in a wheelchair now?
That'd be great if I just left.
You're like, I told you that mile would kill me.
That diabetes took the one leg. The other one's still good though. What's it called? When we were on tour, that was grimy as shit because we had no money. So it's just like, whatever. If anybody wants to buy us drinks after the show, we'll take those for sure.
We'll take those calories for fuel and energy and use them.
Yeah.
That was the one that we did not in the tour bus, but in the 4-door sedan.
In Brendan's
and I remember I got sick right after we were at your house. I was hanging out watching
my parents' house.
At your parents' house. And I was sitting down there with your dad watching like a basketball game, and he was smoking a cigar, and it like started to make my nose run. I think that's like what catapulted everything. Like I was not eating healthy. I was drinking like a fish every single night, and then finally I got this drainage down my throat, and I got walking pneumonia that I had for 2 weeks, where I'd be coughing so hard I would not be sick, but I'd be coughing so hard that I would barf. And I remember in Tallahassee, I threw like Kevin, one of the guys we were on tour with, opened the bathroom door. I'm throwing up in the bathroom. He's like, "Hey, Hoff, they're about to announce you," and I was like, "Oh no!"
And you crushed. You went on a crush to Christian Ponder in the crowd, by the way. The quarterback.
Wow, name drop.
Christian
Whoa.
Ponder, yeah.
Minnesota Vikings.
Christian Ponder,
So,
huh?
well, let's say Sam Ponder on ESPN, her husband.
Right.
Might be the better way to do it. But yeah, you don't remember that, do you? Because you were sick. You didn't hang out.
I don't think I.
My buddy
realized
Faye
that he was
brought
in the crowd.
Christian Ponder to the show. Yeah. And I remember you threw up. You got a. It was pretty awesome to see like someone you're on tour with like puke and rally basically, do 20 minutes. Do really well, and then fucking bye. I'm going to sleep again. See ya. I'm gonna go sit in the car.
He's going to his own, huh?
Dude, that was brutal.
Yeah.
That was brutal. And then finally in like Charleston, South Carolina, I went to an urgent care, and the guy goes, "You got walking pneumonia."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." And he gave me a shot and like cleared me up, and I was good to go after that.
I think that was the Z pack. We were talking on the phone yesterday about that. The Z pack you took, where it was like, oh, this is like a magical elixir shot that'll fucking get you back in the
Antibiotics
game.
talk, huh?
I want that
You
all
guys
day.
are crazy.
I really felt like I was like in the movie Any Given Sunday, and I was Lawrence Taylor, where he's like, "Give me that cortisone," because I was like, "We have shows every night. I've got a show tonight," and the doctor's like, "So you got to get back out there, right?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he just took a needle
like
and
you
stuck it
need
in
an
my
edge.
ass, and I was like, "All right."
I made a lot of mistakes in my life, but the game's 6 inches in front of your face. All right, we got to roll this out. Last thing we got to ask you is, what advice would you give to your 13-year-old self?
The advice that I would give to my 13-year-old self. Okay. So, do you have to frame it in a way that a 13-year-old will take it, or am I
saying,
like
I think
showing
we
up?
need to
I
raise
like-
the age.
I like
How about
being
16.
I like making 13
Jerking
because
off's not so new and whatever. Like, come on. I think we need to be a little older.
13 is specifically to make it weird and set up any immature jokes.
I know, but
Okay.
it throws everybody,
But
especially dudes.
I know. That's why it's
Oh,
great.
shit.
Well, for me, 13 and 16 weren't that different. I
Right.
hadn't hit puberty yet on either of them. I was probably
Yeah, you told me.
5 foot
Oh, wow.
nothing, 97 pounds, regardless. So at 13, the advice I'd give myself is one, don't jump from your deck to the tree. You're not going to make it.
That's the wheelchair.
Two, hence the wheelchair. Two, come back for the football against Beatrice. You
Okay.
just scored a touchdown.
Wow.
And-
Really living with that pain. All right.
Yes.
Every day?
And then-
You almost said every day, dude. Every day.
Not every day, but every year for sure. I think about that drop.
This is more than
Every
20
year, the guy tipped it right. I thought it was getting over his outstretched fingers. I was in the end zone. I thought it was making it over him. At the last second, he just tipped it over my head.
I'm sure you
And I
won't
come
glom
back-
that pain onto your kids playing football.
As I forearm shiver.
5 a.m. tip drills.
Never
You know
drop the
deal.
ball.
Never. Always come back for it,
Yeah.
kid. And the most real advice, which I would still give to myself, is just do it now.
Yeah.
Do it. Whatever you have to do it now. Don't worry about things being perfect. Sometimes good is good enough. Like I constantly do that. If I film a comedy short or something, or anything I'm doing, I want it to be perfect before I like put it out there, a joke. But 9 times out of 10, if I just go on stage with a new idea, it has something to it. It may not be a polished thing, but it's got something that works, that makes me feel good. But when I hold on to something that's too precious, then I end up just like whittling it down to nothing, or it never goes out. I filmed something before the pandemic that just sits here on this stupid hard drive.
Never good
and
enough.
I haven't even edited it because it's just, I start and I'm like, I'm frustrated. Why did we shoot it that way? And then, but it's probably a good thing on there.
Yeah, edit it, dummy. Put it out.
I just do it.
No,
So
dude,
just
dude,
do
take it, put it on your computer, and just organize it. That's what I like to do. That's something I do where I'm just like, all right, I don't need to edit it right now. Just organize it and just get it, and maybe I'll come across a little something, and then that gets
So
you
just-
a little bit of a spark where you're like, all right, I'll just mess with this for a second, and then next thing you know, you're editing for 2 hours.
Yeah, small steps.
Yeah.
I often look at the entire to-do list and I get frustrated. I do
Right.
none of it. Whereas if I just, I've tried to now
Trick
section
yourself,
it out.
straight up.
You've got to trick yourself
Yeah.
Yeah,
because this thing is screwing you.
right.
Right.
Exactly.
My
That's the-
brain.
Bet-
for those
yeah.
of
I know,
you that
yeah.
can't
Oh,
see,
yeah.
I'm
Pointed
pointing
at-
to my brain.
Pointed to his head.
There was a very specific point in my head where my brain resides.
You can't see his other hand. It's at his dick. But yeah.
That one takes over from time to time, just never in the morning.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. And yeah, let me know whenever Hoffcast you need a scab guest. I'm ready.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, fellas. I
Yeah, man.
appreciate it.
All right, bro.
Appreciate it.
See ya.
Stay
Thank you.
alive.
Bye.